Before we start the test, I want to discuss nature versus nurture. Basically, since the beginning of psychology, for hundreds, if not thousands of years, there's been a debate whether or not your genetic predisposition in your nature has a more to do with your behavior versus nature. So if you have nature plays a bigger part, those are things like the type of house you grew up in, the culture you had. Those are the things that affect you. Now, I believe that there's a spectrum between the two of how things are influenced. I do not believe that there's zero validity to nature like some people do. There are literally people that will say that society completely dictates how people behave. I don't actually believe that to be the case. So to get back to personality traits, a man by the name of Carl Jung, who grew up in Switzerland in the late 1800s, was the grandfather of personality tests. Now, Carl Jung wanted to rectify the attitudes of a man by the name of Sigmund Freud and Alfred Adler. He wrote the book Psychological Types. Now, this psychological types is the precursor to what we see today with personality traits. Now, the one that we're going to be looking at today is called the Big Five Personality Traits. This is the one that I'm going to be taking, and this is what I'm going to be basing my writing off of. The model was originally advanced in 1958 by Ernest Troops and Raymond Christiel. Since then, it's had a ton of research to whittle it down to give us what we see today with the Big Five. Now, the Big Five refers to conscientiousness, agreeableness, neuroticism, openness to experience, and extroversion. Now, they each break down in further, but these are the ones that I'm going to be using, and this is what I'm going to be using to show you guys how to write better characters. So let's get into the test.
All right, so let's get started. Personality rating task. Please indicate the degree to which of these phrases accurately describes your personality. This is page 1 of 10 in this task. Seldom blue. Disagree somewhat. I'm not interested in other people's problems. Disagree. Carry out my plans. Generally. Make friends easily. Kinda. Not that I'm unfun. Rather, I'm not quick to introduce myself. I'm quick to understand things. Yeah. Get angry easily. Strongly disagree. Respect authority. Yeah. Leave my belongings around. Kinda. I clean up after myself, but I definitely have a tendency of doing that. Take charge? No, not really. Though there are times where I'll come up with a plan and get people to do it. But enjoy the beauty of nature, definitely. Filled with doubts about some things. Yeah. Feel other people's emotions. Yeah. Waste my time. Definitely. Hard to know. No, I'm pretty easy to talk to. Have difficulty understanding abstract ideas? No, none at all. Rarely get irritated. Disagree, kinda. Not saying I don't ever get irritated, or very, very seldom I get irritated, but I believe I am better than others. Kinda. Like order, which would kind of be weird considering the whole, leave my stuff around. Kind of have a strong personality. Believe in the importance of art, definitely. Feel comfortable with myself. Somewhat agree. Inquire about other people's well-being. Yeah. Find it difficult to get down to work. Yes. Keep others at a distance. I can kind of do that. Handle a lot of information. Yeah. No, I don't get that upset that easily. Hate to seem pushy. Sometimes. It really does depend on the situation. Keep things tidy. Kind of middling. Lack of talent influencing others. Disagree. Love to reflect on things. Agree. Feel threatened easily. No. Not to say that I haven't felt threatened. But I'm not somebody that wilting flower. Of course, it's hard to know unless you've been put into situations where, somebody's being really in your face about stuff. Can't be bothered with other people's need. Strongly disagree. Mess things up. Occasionally. Real little bit about myself. No, I'm not. Usually on the other side. Like to solve complex problems. Yeah. I keep my emotions under control. Yes. Take advantage of others. Strongly disagree. Follow a schedule. I try. I like to, but sometimes that whole, waste my own time thing gets in the way. How to captivate people? Disagree. Kinda. When I hit my stride, definitely. Get deeply immersed in music? Oh, absolutely. Rarely feel depressed. Kind of in the middle, because there are times, obviously, when I'm not doing okay. A lot better now. Sympathize with other people's feelings. Agree. Finish what I start. I definitely try. Warm up quickly to others. Yeah. Avoid philosophical discussions. Disagree. Change my mood a lot. Not really. And avoid imposing my will on others. Kind of in the middle. When I'm trying to get something done in this group project, I don't try to manipulate anybody, but, sometimes when we agree to do a task and nobody's pushing forward to do it, somebody's got to step up or it's not going to get done. Not bothered by messy people. Agree. Wait for others to lead the way. Disagree. I like poetry. Not as much as some other stuff, but I like poetry. Worry about things. In the middle. Some stuff I worry about, other stuff I don't. Indifferent with feelings of others. Disagree. Don't put my mind at the task of hand. Sometimes, yeah. Rarely get caught up in excitement. Agree, somewhat. Avoid difficult reading material. Disagree. You have to be willing to read everything as a writer. Rarely lose my composure. strongly agree. Not to say that I've never lost my composure, but it takes a lot. Rarely put people under pressure. I agree. Want everything just right. Yes, in some things, this YouTube channel definitely has made that part be really clear, but in other parts, yeah, it's not as much of an issue for me. See myself as a good leader, yes. Not to say that I'm a great leader, but I care, and I think that goes for a lot. Seldom notice the emotional aspects of paintings and pictures. Disagree. Definitely notice those. Am easily discouraged. Yes. It's kind of when you're doing creative stuff, imposter syndrome definitely hits you pretty hard. But in other stuff, I guess it's that because I've had stuff where it's just fallen through and it doesn't matter. But that imposter syndrome, oof, that takes me for a loop every single time. No time for others, disagree. Get things done quickly, yes, which is odd considering that it takes me a while to get done projects, but I can get done the individual tasks pretty quickly. Not an over-enthusiastic person. Either depends on the thing. Rich vocabulary, obviously. I'm a person whose mood go up and down easily. Disagree. I'm pretty steady. Insult people. It depends. For me, it depends on the person. Like, I insult my brother all the time. Like he does the same to me, much to the chagrin of my mother. But it's all in good fun. There's no insult to it. Maybe medium. If you take into account actually insulting people on the internet, which is pretty easy to get caught up in, not bothered by disorder. No, 3, because it depends. So if I'm working on a project and I'm coming in after somebody else and there's an absolute disaster of a cluster going on, it bothers me. Talk about other people into doing things. Somewhat agree. Need a creative outlet. Yeah. Generally, I need something to do with my hands. Not necessarily always writing, like some writers do, but I need to be doing something. I'm not embarrassed easily. True. It has to be pretty blatant. And then even then, it's not like, I have to wonder if I actually heard what I actually heard. Take interest in other people's lives. Yeah, if they're close to me. Care about how they're doing. When I was a supervisor, that was most of my job, was making sure that, getting to know the people that were working for me and seeing how they were doing and how they were feeling, and knowing, if there was anything that I could do to help them out. I always know what I'm doing, generally. I'd like to do a lot of my research pretty early on, so I don't go into anything blind. I show my feelings when I'm happy. Yeah. Think quickly, definitely. Not easily annoyed. True. Seek conflict. No. I'm not somebody who likes conflict. Not to say that, I'm just gonna run away from conflict, but conflict for sake of conflict, disastrous. Dislike routine, disagree. I have to have a routine, honestly, or else I don't get anything done. Hold back my opinions. Disagree. I'll give my opinions. Seldom lost in thought, strongly disagree. Can't tell you how many times I get lost in my own thoughts. Overwhelmed by events. Disagree. Things have to be pretty chaotic. Actually, I would say that I've gone through the training that I've gone through. It definitely helps with, dealing with a bunch of stuff that's going on. Helps prioritize. Don't have a self side. Disagree, unfortunately. Postpone decisions. I don't like to, but sometimes I just don't have all the information. Have a lot of fun. Yeah. Learn things slowly. Disagree. Quickly agitated. Disagree. Love a good fight. Disagree. First act. Neither agree, because it depends on the situation. For instance, back in November, I was witness to a car accident. Pulled over right away and was the first on the scene. But at the same time, there are some things that you have to process what's going on before you can act, and then other people just jump right in. Seldom daydream. Strongly disagree. Oh, wrong one. Try to miss. Oh, love a good fight. No, I strongly disagree. Whatever. Wow, this is taking a lot longer than I was expecting. I'm afraid of many things. Disagree. Like to do things for others. Agree. Easily distracted. Disagree. Laugh a lot. Yeah. Formulate ideas clearly. Can be stirred up easily. No. My own personal gain, no. I'm definitely of the opinion, if I'm not helping somebody else, I'm doing something wrong. Want every detail taken care of. Just, kind of disagree, because getting caught up in the weeds is kind of a bad thing. Assertive personality, disagree. See beauty in things others might not notice? Yes, definitely.
So now that I'm done the test, let's take a look at the results and see how they play out. So agreeableness, I got a 65. That means it's moderately high. According to this, you are moderately high in agreeableness, which is the primary dimension of interpersonal interaction in the Big Five personality trait scientific model. Two aspects of agreeable are compassion and politeness. Compassion. Compassion puts me at 66th percentile. And then politeness is 58. Now, conscientiousness puts me at 17 percentile. Now, the issue here, and I think a lot of writers have this issue, is that conscientiousness more has to do with how industrious or how orderly they are. There is what's called a negative correlation between conscientiousness and openness. We'll discuss openness in a little bit. Conscientiousness is how orderly you are or how focused you are. Typically, people with personal self-discipline have higher conscientiousness levels. Now, there are two subcategories for conscientiousness: industriousness, which is how you put the work you put in, people who are, according to this, who are lower in industriousness are less likely to successful in school and administrative and managerial positions. I know that when I was in college, I definitely struggled with it because it wasn't that I wasn't smart or wasn't capable of understanding it, but I didn't put forth the effort to become better, to learn. The second one, which really hurts me, was orderliness. This is how neat you are, how organized you are. These are the things that helps create things or helps create a stable environment for yourself. Extroversion. Now, there are two different types of points for this. Typically we see extroversion versus introversion. I rank 63 in extroversion. I have a higher enthusiasm side, which means that individuals who are higher in enthusiasm have their excitable moments and sometimes happy and are reasonably easy to get to know. Usually that, for me, I'm easy to talk to somebody and actually able to engage with conversations. Assertiveness, which is the other dimension, sits me at 68. These are more the take charge types, the people that are driven to talk and do stuff. What you don't see is whether or not how people handle getting tired from interactions, which is more me. I definitely am not somebody who enjoys a ton of social interactions, but I am more than capable of having conversations with people and talking with people, particularly when I have a shared interest. Now, neuroticism is low at 22%. Typically, neuroticism is struggling with self-doubt. There are 2 points for this one. There's withdrawal. Typically, who withdraw from society prefer to be alone, and then volatility. While I sit a little higher on the withdrawal, I really don't have the volatility. I'm not somebody who snaps typically or gets very upset. Pretty stable as far as my moods and emotions. Now, openness is my highest one. This makes sense because I'm a writer. Openness is not just how creative you are, but how open you are to ideas. I have a high intellect at 86. Doesn't mean that I'm actually smart, but I have an innate idea of understanding abstract ideas. And to note, as it says here, do not confuse personality aspect of intellect with IQ. Intellect is a measure of interest in abstract ideas, essentially, while IQ is measuring the processing speed. Verbal ability, working memory, and problem-solving capacity is much better measured with a formal IQ test, and it is perfectly possible to have a high IQ and have a low personality trait of intellect. Now that's important. And I hopefully will go over this maybe in another video, what IQ actually means. Because a lot of people think that if you have IQ, that means you're smart. You can be an idiot and have a high IQ. You take a kid with, a 130, 140 IQ and stick him in a cave his whole life, he's gonna, when he comes out, he's not gonna seem like somebody who has a high IQ. Now, he's going to be adapting a lot faster than somebody who has, say, an 80 IQ level. But that's what IQ means. It has less to do with how smart you are, because smart is kind of a broad category. IQ has more to do with how quickly you pick things up. Now, aesthetics is the other side of openness. Now, I'm moderately high. That means that I can appreciate things like art and music. Now, this, as a writer, is really important because that means I can pay attention to what somebody else is trying to say and understand the nuances, not just to see the broad brush strokes of the thing, but dive into the nitty gritty and seeing how they did what they did and then appreciate those things. Okay, so one of the things that I want to do is for the practical side of actually
putting what we've learned into practice, I'm using this format here as a way of mixing it up each time. So it's not something that I am constantly referring back to. This will give me the ability to practice my improvisation when it comes to my writing. So basically how this is going to work is I'm going to use this website, D&D Dice Roller, to roll to find my first one on this, the location. So depending on whether or not the roll comes back as 1, 10, that doesn't give me a location. The next rolls 1 through 4, it's going to give me the number of people involved in this conversation. So if I roll a 1, that's 2 people. So it's going to be a 2-person conversation. And then for each person, we're going to do an additional roll for each job that they're going to have. So literally, it could be that we're going to have spaceship. First person is going to be general or commander or some sort of high person in the military. And then the second person could be a vagrant or a salesperson. And this will allow us to work on our improvisation when it comes to our writing. So let's go with the first one. So the first roll is for location. 21 dice. Roll. Rolled 1. D3. So our roll is going to be D3. So kingdom, traveling. So our next one is going to be the number of people involved in this conversation. So we're going to do a D4. Correction, D4. We're going to roll. Rolls a 2. So that's going to give us 3 people in our conversation. And then that means we're going to be rolling 3 dice. All of them are D20. And based on where they are, we're going to give us a understanding of who's going to be involved in this conversation. All right, so 3 dice, D20. So we have 3, 14, and 17. So 3, 14, artisan, 17, solo band. All right, so this is what we're going to use to do our story. All right. Now, personally, I like to use Word. This allows me to get a lot. There's a lot of resources. I've been using this for years, and it's been kind of my go-to. I hear other people will swear by other forms, but this is the one that I'm most familiar with, so this is what I do. All right, so first we'll set up the scene. For the sake of brevity, I'm going to jump a little bit ahead. Lord, what perchance does this lovely person love to adorn themselves with? So what the goldsmith is trying to do is he's basically trying to establish a pattern that the goldsmith can use to give the duke the best chance. Now, somebody who doesn't have a lot of self-control, a lot really high on conscientiousness, they kind of flow through life. So they're not going to really know. His light of my eyes and bane my heart. It's all right. Nope. pain of my heart. Basically, what he's trying to say is that he likes her, but that likingness doesn't necessarily correlate with him getting with what he wants. So now this is somebody who doesn't really see much beyond what she can give him, rather than any sort of long-term type of deal. So he's just trying to buy her affection, and not to say that this woman will be bought by this or not. Chances are, if she is the bane of his heart, chances are she's already rebuffed him, and he's trying to woo her. Now, whether or not that wooing is due to the fact that she already has somebody else, that she's engaged or married to somebody else, these are things that the Duke, somebody with low self-control, low conscientiousness, is trying to overcome. So the goldsmith would be offering hold out a ruby, because rubies are fiery, set in a let's say in petals of gold. So basically what's going on is you have the goldsmith offers him something like a bud of a rose. Now, we're just doing bare bones as far as description. But we can kind of add a little bit depth to that by having the goldsmith describe in flowery terms what he's holding up. Bud, rose. It speaks to hope of love to come. Duke looked upon the pendant and I don't want to say took in his beauty, because we're trying to show, not tell. Gently touched bud his thumb. Pent. Manservant in and asked, "'Tis a wonderful piece. Master Goldsmith. Chance the cost of such artistry. Because goldsmiths wasn't just about the object, but how much time and effort, sort of like a painter would be. So he's just trying to find out how much it's going to cost. Goldsmiths gave the amount. And because I don't want to go into actual amounts about how much gold, we're just going to do a rough estimate. Stated, but when the goldsmith stated his price, the manservant spoke into the ear his master. Forgive Shen intrusion. I fear we do not have the funds such a gift. Master now the reason would be, in this case, we could have him say, it's like, so your gambling debts are an issue. So he would owe money, he would owe whatever to another lord. I received word from Lord Miles stating that if he does not receive his winnings from last month's gambling, that that he will be taking it to the king. Now, somebody who low self-control, obviously makes sense that he has a gambling debt. So what we're going to do is we're going to have him get very upset. Duke slammed his fist That's the counter. And shouted, that Duke's pretty high up, so you're going to want to have him be very dismissive, but if he's going to be dismissive, it has to be against somebody who doesn't have the same level of political power. If that dirt, a noble, let's just say count. This count is a much lower rank. Now let's make this a little bit more. That count dares think can threaten me with this would be the death of him and his family. Now, the servant could easily say, but my lord has been speaking to the lords Christoph and what's another name? I'm really bad at names. Christoph and Johnson. Both are also waiting for their payment. So now that we have the situation where the count has money or doesn't have money to buy this, the goldsmith is very less willing to be polite. Not that he's going to be impolite, but as he knows that this isn't going to end well, if he gets involved, he's probably either A, not going to say anything, or B, offer something cheaper. Now that the Duke doesn't have the money that he was hoping. All right. Or in this case, we could just end this as Duke side and handing that back. Alt out of the shop and scene. So pretty much this is what this is kind of just a little way of doing this that we can use certain personality traits to add depth to our characters. All right.
Hopefully that this didn't take too long. I will be leaving the information on the for the websites and other resources that I find in links underneath the video. So until next time, bye.
I am a poor, wayfaring stranger. I'm traveling through this world of woe, yet there's no sickness, toil, nor danger